welcome to Summit. It's a brand new week, and this is our first edition of the program in the week. My name is Jumoke Michaels, and the program is Summit. You're welcome. Banji, good morning. Good to be here again today.
Great. It's our calling, it's our job, it's our passion. So I'm glad to be here. It's a fresh edition of Summit. My name is Banji Busari.
Yes, today on the program, we're looking at two major issues on the program. And our topic is the state of the nation. And we're looking at the issue of insecurity and then the issue of patronizing local content when it comes to goods produced in Nigeria, our attitude to it, and even the attitude of our lawmakers to the issue of patronizing local content. And we have two erudite personalities here with us in the studio this morning. We have Dr. Dayo Kayode, a public affairs analyst. You're welcome, sir.
It's my pleasure, but not my job, only passion. You said it's your job and it's my own
It's
passion.
your passion.
Not my own.
All right, and we also have Professor Anthony Kila. This morning we're introducing him as the Secretary General of the Yoruba World Congress. You're welcome, sir. I know you have a lot of designations.
He's also the director of
decided, we decided to just pick that one out of your many designations. Yeah, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so where do we start from?
It's the state of the nation, and when we talk about state of the nation, the one that comes to mind first and foremost is the state of insecurity. So much has actually been discussed. There have been so many calls for the removal of the service chiefs. President Muhammadu Buhari was in Maiduguri recently, and as soon as he left, the Boko Haramists actually made the point that they are still strong, and that no word of intimidation or harassment from the military or from the presidency will actually make them to withdraw or reduce or be cowed. So everybody is bothered. And you and I are also aware that for a solution, a long-lasting solution to our insecurity challenges in the country, the regional security is gradually becoming a kind of the in thing now. The Yoruba, the southwestern states, have actually come up with Amotekun. And even in the southeast, there's this one that is coming up now. So the regional security that was actually initiated by the southwest. Yeah. People say the steam is actually getting low. And the way, the passion, the strength with which the southwestern governors actually approach them, they seem to be losing the steam. Yeah. Do you agree?
Well, I think for every good thing in life, there's always fear that one loses steam, that momentum dies, Bad things do not need encouragement. Bad things tend to happen by themselves. It is good thing, if you put fire in the bush, you don't need to do much, and it will keep burning. But if you're planting a crop or any kind of vegetable, you need to water it. So it's only natural that there is fear. But I think what we need to do is to remind people that the Operation Amotekun thing is something that was wanted by people, and the governors did it in obedience to the desire of the people. And when it appeared the governors were fluttering on it, when there appears to be mixed information, when the Attorney General was saying maybe they shouldn't do it, the people under the auspices, and here I see why you want to introduce me as the Secretary General of the Yoruba World Congress. The Yoruba World Congress took people out to say, no, we want it, and thou shalt not stop, thou shalt not change your mind. And luckily, they've not changed their mind. So the process is going. It is a symbolic, psychological, and cogent operation. It is symbolic and psychological because it shows you that when people come together around a good thing with one voice, it is doable. It is symbolic and psychological because it tells you that people should not count the same out. That when people say we want something, they can achieve it. It is symbolic and psychological because it shows bandits and ethnic enemies or whoever they are that the Yoruba people can come back, can come out with one vote and protect themselves. And it shows the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that the true way forward is federalism, is local policing, and it's community effort. That's the best way to fight crime. And I think we're doing that. So we have the operation now. The next step is the operational side of the operation, is to decide who does what, where, and how is it done. The Yoruba World Congress, on our part, on our website, yorubaworldcongress.org, a few weeks ago, we launched a desk, a sort of service desk, to tell people that if you have any concern, any doubt, any worry, or any suggestion, let us know, and we will collate this and pass it to the appropriate people. As I speak today, there are hearings in some states in the assemblies, and there's been a very clear message from the Yoruba leader, Professor Banji Akintoye, who was given very clear directive. I read it this morning, actually, just coming to you, saying directive that this is where we stand on it. And again, people can go to yorubaworldcongress.org to look at it, to see where people stand. So the worries are always there for good things, but the important thing is that we keep vigil on it. We keep vigil on the state governors, we keep vigil on the people who are going to operate Amotekun, so that it does not deteriorate to anything bad, and it is not lost totally in the smoke of politics, ambition, or incompetence, anything really.
Okay. Dr. Kayode too is a Yoruba man.
Yes, I'm an Ekiti man.
Yeah, son of the sun.
And an Amotekun.
To the core.
To the core.
All right, so how do you feel about this issue of community policing that is silently trying to displace? To displace this Amotekun thing, because it's seriously being considered.
It will be difficult for anything to displace Amotekun as it is, because you see, on a lighter mode, there was this thing that happened in Ekiti State House of Assembly when an Amotekun leader was asked to come and make some presentation to them there. And when they were expecting the guy at the right time, they didn't see him. He just appeared from nowhere and sounded like, when they say, hey, this is real Amotekun, first of all, And that's to tell you what Amotekun stands for in the geopolitical zone. You could imagine the time that the Fulani X-Men or the so-called bandits and all that were terrorizing everybody on that axis, and then some people came out. I'm only telling you what brought about Amotekun now. So people came out, and at the end of the day, we saw stories, we saw clips of cows just die anyhow, crossing one thing or the other, and then dying. You see thunder striking and all that. Then I said, look, if these bandits can be coming around to even kill our leaders, and then we have been able to do this within a particular point in time, we can synergize as regards securing our environment. And as it is, let me take you back to your neighborhood. You have what we call Olode Adugbo, neighborhood watch, vigilante and all that. Then you now see one street and this other street, contiguous streets, coming together to form a synergy like we have in my area. That is exactly what is happening with Amotekun. And to that extent, those vigilante that comes around together, has it stopped activities of the police, Nigerian police within the neighborhood? No. So I don't think anybody talking about the Amotekun concept is also going to disturb community policing. It's a different thing entirely. And also, let me also tell you about community policing. For instance, some of these retired people, old people, they're always at home. I'm only giving you what community policing is. If they sit down, they know who and who that are just coming to their neighborhood, because it has happened to me before in a better clime where they practice real community policing. Do you understand? So these people can always sit down and then be watching who and who is new on the street, who and who is doing what and what that is inimical to the security of the environment. Like for instance, now we have all these lock-up shops, people that the tailors, the bill seller, and all that. They are all there.
But the sense in which, sorry to cut you, the sense in which you're actually analyzing community policing is different from the general concept of community policing, where the state, or let me say federal government, takes over the activities of Amotekun. That's the sense in which it's being. You are aware that the IG actually visited the southeastern state.
Sure.
And he sold the idea of community policing, after which he came to the southwest. Now, the community policing that we're talking about is not in the sense of people knowing one another in the same neighborhood.
It's a force. I see what you mean.
Force.
So it's a force, yes. It's
You
a
see,
different...
community policing is a pity that we are just using some concepts
Well, no, but
without
let's go to
properly
the
defining the operations of it.
Yeah, but that's
Do you
fine.
understand?
But wait.
Okay, Prof, you want to have a...
No, what I want to say is, let's put the name aside and let's go to the content of it.
Exactly.
What you're saying is a force, you're right. What the IG is talking about, whether it's called community policing or parallel force or assistance force, is the idea of a group of people that are employed or dedicated to working on security. What Dr. Hay is talking about is citizens watch, people who peep out of the window, see what has happened. If they see a stranger, they report. They're two different things, so regardless of the name. But I think the key thing we need to say here is that those who, and it's a message, a strong message I want to put across, those who want to destroy or weaken Amotekun should be very careful. Because, you see, Amotekun, as I was saying, is a social, symbolic, and psychological response to threats. Amotekun, the way it was proposed by the governors who were speaking for the people that elected them, it wasn't they sat down, because the origin of it, chronologically, is that we went to Ibadan sometime last year, had a summit on security, and the result is this. In that summit, people shouted at the governors, traditional rulers were there, elders of the land were there, major stakeholders and leaders of thought came together and said, what are you governors doing about it? The land is not secure. And they came up with this response. Those who are trying to weaken this response, those who are trying to sabotage it or kill it, should be very careful, because this response is a coordinated, regulated, supervised response. And in place of that, the risk is anarchy. The risk is individuals taking up arms to defend their own land. The risk is community considering others that are not part of them or that are suspected to be enemies. The risk is war of all against war, the Hobbesian situation. So Amotekun is a coordinated, supervised, regulated force. That is intention. And the best anybody can do for the sake of unity, in peace and justice and fairness, is to find ways that this coordinated, supervised, monitored force works in a complementary way with the force of government, not to be seen as a threat. I keep saying this thing everywhere I've had occasion, that good people should not be afraid of security.
Sure.
So that when the association of headsmen came together and to say they feel threatened by Amotekun, it makes me laugh, because if they are just an association of headsmen and they have nothing to do with bandits, they should be happy
and they are doing the
that
right
people
thing.
are fighting bandits.
Yeah.
I have had cause to refer to the position of the association of headsmen that are against Amotekun, like married women who are supporting prostitution. Because if you're a married woman, you want your husband to come home. You'll be happy if they are closing avenues for prostitution.
Right.
In this case, you have people who say that they are legitimate headsmen, traders, and that is all they do, and they are fighting against those fighting bandits. So it doesn't make sense. So I think we should send these messages across that Amotekun is here to stay. It is best it is allowed to say openly and legally and within the confines of the law. That is why state houses are asking for public hearing and they are passing bills to regulate it. If that is not allowed, then it will turn to something else, and something else is dangerous.
Okay, now, to what extent, Doctor, to what extent is this Amotekun, Operation Amotekun, a regional security? Because we're looking at the bills that are being passed in each state's House of Assembly.
Yes.
Now, if any one of them refuses to pass the bill, to what extent would you call it a regional security system?
Yeah, to a very large extent, you can hear him when he said that there was a meeting by the Yoruba Council or whatever,
Yoruba World Congress.
Yoruba World Congress. And when you're talking of Yoruba World Congress, you know that the Yorubas are within the southwest of the country, then extending to areas like Kogi, Kwara, Benin, and all that. So if now that Amotekun is on ground, I don't think there is any governor that will want to come around and say no to it. Bearing in mind that when it was being launched, all the governors were present. I think except one,
The same representatives.
which they now
officially
send representatives,
Everybody.
and none of them has ever come out to say no. And then again, it is very important and paramount for us to know, not only here but in the country, in the world, that the whole Yorubas, it should take sample of Yorubas, nothing less than 97% of Yorubas are in support of Amotekun. And in fact, even me myself, the moment Amotekun came out, I studied it. The only thing that gives me a kind of nightmare then, which to a large extent he has sort of to an extent now disabused, is using such as a way of political activities during electioneering campaign. And for me, it should be, if not quickly tackled at the beginning now, it will be difficult to tackle, because there is a saying that says, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. So it is better for us now, especially in this time of coming up with the bills and all that, to put into it financing, because it's very important. Financing. 2, the organogram. Then the operational activities. They should all be separated from office of any public holder, not even governor now. Any public office holder, such thing should be separated from it. And whoever takes responsibilities, and when I say responsibilities in terms of financing, organization, leadership, and all that, should be devoid of any political affiliation. Else is going to destroy it. But anything other than that,
And I think, Banyi, to that question you asked, it's very crucial to give a short answer to say that, what if any state doesn't approve it? If any state doesn't approve it, that state risks having a non-regulated Amotekun.
A non-regulated
Amotekun. You see, what we have now, the idea that Amotekun will go, people should forget that. It's here to stay. The option is between a regulated one and an unregulated one. So if any state fails to approve the right bill, they will find themselves with an unregulated Amotekun. That is a message which I use your question to pass that message to the world.
But sorry, in that line, would that not be pointing towards anarchy, chaos, and crisis in terms of? Listen. Sorry,
I agree.
Sorry,
You're right.
in terms of, I'm still coming.
No, it is.
Because when we are now talking that regulated and non-regulated, if let's say for instance, state A couldn't pass the bill, know fully well that the governor has no vote within the assembly. Know fully well that the people elected those in the assembly, and when those people refuses to pass the bill, and the people are not also fighting their representatives, all right? So if another state is now talking, okay, you will have a regulated Amotekun, if anything happens, others, those in that state might be thinking that whatever is happening that is detrimental to their security is being sponsored. Do you understand? So what I'm saying is, what I'm saying in this sense is, using that word regulated Amotekun and non-regulated Amotekun, the risk, the whatever of facing anarchy or whatever, perhaps instead of using that, we should find a way of ensuring that everybody
keys
into it.
Okay.
You don't understand what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
Either you like it or not, there is one strategy
No, I
or
think it's
the other
better by
that can
saying-
solve an issue.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
started
what
by
I'm saying.
saying by actually telling us the advantages of the
synergy.
the
That
synergy
should
yeah,
exist.
among the states.
Yeah.
Started by-
Which I've
they
also
now
said,
by
which I've-
chance, if any one of them does not key into the concept, they risk. Having unregulated.
Yeah, well, go on. So, it's not
I think that's clear enough.
Yeah, the burden is to avoid such risks.
But let us believe that no state will not because we all belong to a particular kingdom. Let us use that word kingdom now for the purposes of our discussion.
I would like us to take the discussion out of the southwest now back to the northeast and the northwest.
They too have started their own.
Where
They're
they
planning
started
their own.
but the killings and the kidnappings and the banditry continues unabated.
Yes.
And I was surprised when the presidency made this comment that these occasional and episodic attacks of poor civilians by the terrorists are mere propaganda.
Yeah.
That's to fool the public.
Yeah.
They're saying that it's all propaganda to fool the public.
Yeah.
And we hear in the paper this morning, we saw in the paper this morning that Borno State has called for fasting and prayer today, the Christians and the Muslims.
yeah.
No, in the face of all this,
Yeah.
for the presidency to be saying that these are all propaganda,
Yes.
how do you feel about that?
You see, you can fool all of the people at a particular time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. I could remember before 2019 elections. During 2019 elections, when the president was about to go to that same Borno state to campaign, they were telling him that he need not to come to that place to come and campaign, that they are all for him. Either he is coming there to campaign or not, they are all for him. But this time around, because of the level of insecurity that they are facing, they stood up against him. So that is to tell you that insecurity in Nigeria, is it propaganda or not? That is one. Two, immediately after leaving that place, we remember immediately after leaving that place, the bandits, they struck. So is it propaganda or not? But the issue is this. The conspiracy theory, which I've been talking about for the past two years or thereabout, and have been also affirmed by some international communities, very, very soon we will see it play out. Because everybody is now saying, change your security chiefs.
Well, they said that's not the solution to the problem.
It is part of the solution. Because the issue is this: when you have all the security chiefs for a particular part, or the appointment is skewed, let me use that word, the appointment of those people is skewed, and we are saying, look here, there is a federating unit, is a federating nation, we have to take good care of everybody has to be part of it. Now, and then you are now saying no. What will you expect? These are bandits that have been caught along the line. These are bandits that took over villages, towns, they hosted their flags, and you are telling us that you don't know where they are. You cannot go there and arrest them. Now you are now even saying that you are now trying to, what English did they even use again? You want to retune them and then take them back to the society and whatever. How can? Because these people, if you look at them, it is not an economic war they are fighting. It is not a political war they are fighting. It is an ideological war. These are people that have been some ideology have been inculcated into them from a very tender age. Do you understand? And they are now unleashing them on the. How do you remove that ideology that is already in their brain? It's not possible, and that is what we continue to see. So let everybody look at the situation to know whether what the president is saying is right or wrong.
Yeah, again, along that line, what the question that Jumoke asked, the president is also saying the military capacity of Boko Haram has actually been weakened. But we know that from northeast, the insurgency moved to northwest, now north central, banditry, kidnapping and all that. Who knows whether it's coming southwest? How prepared is Amotekun?
Amotekun
Amotekun
will
still
not.
coming. The Southeast security apparatus will
Is
still
it that
coming.
they are coming or they have actually come?
No, the insurgency, no, Chief of Army Staff said that the Boko Haramists are in Lagos. He said it some time ago. So how prepared as this thing is coming down
Yes,
south?
prepared.
Well, you see, the idea that people are dying and somebody is calling it propaganda and you're asking, what do I think about it, is a symptom of a weak, if not a failing state. And when I say state, I include all agencies and every organ and every part, every element that makes up a modern state that is failing. You see, in a society that works, in a state that works, you won't argue if people are dying or not. Not because you're good, but because people like Jumoke and people like Banji will be doing
You won't even argue whether they are Christians or Muslims.
But
Or whether they are Hausas or Yorubas.
but you see, the idea of saying that it's propaganda is opinion. I'm more fascinated, and part of our problem is that we have too many opinions and too little evidence in this society. If people like Jumoke and Banji, your category, were doing their job very well, the list of people that died will be so clear that we won't need to argue. It will be there. There should be a list of these are the number of people killed or kidnapped by Boko Haram, and these are their names and these are their addresses. So there will be no argument. If the police force, if the relief agencies, if the humanitarian agencies, if everybody, if the schools or the Quranic center were doing their job, you will know that this child did not come today. There will be no need, there will be no space to say it's propaganda. The idea that you can argue over fact is because the structure is weak. So, I take it outside this government or that government. We have a problem of a system that is not working. It is only natural, you included in your question the position of the service chiefs. It's only natural to say that if people are managing an operation and it's not yielding results, perhaps you should change them. If their boss does not want to change them, he owes the duty of explaining to those who elected them to say, this is the reason why I'm not changing them. Our problem is ownership. We're not clear who owns this country. That is why it is being managed by proxy. You see, because if this was a family affair, it was a resident affair, if thieves keeps coming to your residence or to each of our houses, you will have changed the Megad. But if you don't change the Megad, you will call him and explain. The people of Nigeria need to develop the mentality to understand that the chief security officer is the chief Megad of the country. We need to have that mindset that those people are there to serve the interest. And so far, we're very far from that. And that is why we can have this kind of argument. And it's a very sad argument to be having, because people are dying. And we don't know it, but because we keep talking of low-level things, even our mindset is getting lower every day. Because we're discussing and arguing things that need not to be argued. And it's not good mentally for Nigerians.
I asked the other part of the question is
Yes.
how prepared is even South
yes.
to ward off this insecurity
Well,
or the threat of insecurity coming down south.
I must say to you that there are two schools of thought generally. There are people who believe that this is just random criminality. And there's another school of thought that believes that this is an organized, coordinated attack on the western region, insipidly called the Yoruba land, insipidly called Southwest. The two schools of thought are working together anyway. And Amotekun is a response. It's one response.
Is a response?
It's a response to it.
Yeah.
Another response that is not very publicized, which very soon will be going out, is Yoruba World Congress will soon be sending out messages to people. And the core of the message is that be your brother's keeper, be your neighborhood's watch. And that goes to what Dr. Kali was saying earlier on. We're going to start informing and educating people that watch around. If you see anything strange, let us know. If you see anybody strange, let us know. If you see any activity that is out of order, let us know. So I think vigilance, that should have been our way. There's been some adverts on TV, if you see something strange, tell us, but it's not worked enough. We act in this country, but we act in a way that I've called it elsewhere the shock of the obvious. We always act as if the things are happening to us for the first time. We discover hot water every day. You know, which is ridiculous.
We discover hot water every day.
Yes, as if, oh, water is hot, what a surprise, you know, and, or water wets every day. You know, which is shocking for in this century. We're not the first people to face terrorism and insurgency in the world. Elsewhere, it became a known thing that if you see something, identify it, report it. If you see somebody, let us know. We haven't done that. What's that agency called? The Orientation Agency, what's it called?
National Orientation Agency.
That's a total failure. It should be scrapped or totally reformed. Or they should even justify what they're doing there. I don't know what they're doing there. But we're not waiting for that. This is where we are now. You know, we have a saying that, oh deity, if you cannot help me, leave me the way you've met me.
Oh, yeah.
We are at the point of telling ourselves, look, this thing is getting complicated. Let's simplify it. And let's try and help ourselves gradually. Maybe Nigeria is too big to manage for the people there. But without that, let us look at ourselves and see what we can do in our neighborhood. Because the truth is that if everybody can take care of their house, their street, their ward, and their farm, we'll be fine. Because we all have mobile phones.
To support what you just said, there was one bowler, these bowler boys that carries beans,
truck.
you know, passing one day with some pieces of iron rods, almost like 15, all right? And he was just passing. There are about 10 of us sitting down discussing. I said, see all of us just looking at this guy. Do you know where he's bringing this thing from? And I called him. Where are you bringing this thing from? To cut the story short, the guy was given this thing by a guard, being employed by somebody who has an uncompleted building on about 2 streets away. Do you understand? And we have to take it back from this guy and drop it back there, lock that place, and send that guard away, and send message to the owner of the. So it's like we need to watch ourselves.
That is it.
And like he said, Yoruba World Congress of Yoruba, they want to be sending messages. Yes, it's part of it. And that does not mean police will not be doing their work. That does not mean federal police will not be doing their work. Nobody is disturbing anybody. It's just a kind of complementary. And that is what happens everywhere. I don't know why are we now afraid of complementary activities.
All right, you can be part of the program by sending us an SMS on the number displayed on the screen. We'd like to share your thoughts with us on where you were discussing. And please remember to include your name and where you're located in your SMS. And we'll read it out from here. Thank you. All right, so let's leave the issue of insecurity and talk about patronizing made in Nigeria goods. Last week, everyone was amazed when
Shocked.
Shocked. Okay,
I'm still in that shock.
Shocked.
I'm still in that shock.
You're still in that shock.
Honestly.
All right, when the House of Representatives members actually rejected 400 pieces of vehicles, supposedly, I think they were supposed to purchase it from Nigeria.
No, they are
But
saying
they refused that they
uh,
wanted exotic cars.
And those ones too, they have exotic cars. So.
They have exotic, that's innocent group.
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
see,
they
it
refused
is.
the offer.
So when we say exotic, we mean foreign.
Exotic foreign cars.
Foreign.
Yeah,
It is.
foreign
It
cars.
is. It
I
is.
think it was a 2018.
It is
Toyota they were
absurd.
asking for.
It is absurd. It is unthought of. It is unethical. It is. What again can I even say? For our supposed now leaders to be saying they will not patronize what they are producing themselves.
Especially with the backdrop of the closure of
Do
the
you,
border.
do you, do you, at the backdrop, not even only dollars, at the backdrop of what is happening to our naira, at the backdrop of what is happening to our foreign reserve, at the backdrop of what is happening to industrialization in this so-called giant of Africa, at the backdrop of unemployment, at the backdrop of the whole state being taken over by marauders, of which they are products of systemic failure. I don't know whether you understand. Imagine, like you said, imagine that small manufacturing company as is marketing their products themselves. Now, the federal government now comes out with its own policy. National Assembly, you have to buy at least 80% of your vehicles there, because we also have to mind the production capacity of that particular industry, which is innocent vehicles. All right, National Assembly, MDGs, even the so-called embassies. We can tell our embassies for what we call social responsibility now. Imagine the quantum of dollars we will save, because when you want to buy exotic cars from abroad, you have to change naira to dollars. Then you can now imagine the quantum of dollar they want to buy, how it will weaken our naira. So what do we call such set of people? Insipid.
Okay, now
lack of vision.
Prof, your thoughts here. We're talking of a sum of over 5 billion naira involved, and these our representatives have chosen to take that path because probably there is a fear that they may not get value for money here.
What is value for money?
They probably did not expect this much.
So, but then people are outraged.
Opposition.
Are you outraged too?
Well, I don't know if I'm outraged. I've lost my sense of outrage a while ago because to be disappointed, first you have to have hope. If you don't love somebody, they cannot betray you. If you don't trust them, they cannot disappoint you. I have lost my hope on most of our public officers a long time ago, so I'm really shocked. I do believe, however, though, that somebody needs to very calmly, not as shocked and angry as Dr. Kayode is, very calmly go to them, very calmly, and say, please, can you explain to me why you don't want Nigerian car?
Are you aware that they have been asked? Do you remember their response?
No.
They said they are too big. They are too big to be using Nigerian cars.
Well, but calmly, very calmly. Okay,
What?
that's all right. So that answer.
That's not rugged.
I think if that is the answer, people should now ask Nigerian people: do you want somebody too big to be using
To rule us.
to rule you, or do you want somebody? Because you see, at some point, he made the example of Bono before, when he said in 2000, and I quote
Yeah.
Dr. Kayode, in 2019 they said Buhari did not need to come and campaign because they vote for him. I think at some point, whilst we blame the government, we the people, we also need to start looking at ourselves and to ask ourselves, which is my one vote? Which is just one out of the 30 million votes? What do I want to do with it? Because you see, out of the 22 million people that vote, if all of a sudden we can get 12 million sensible people, because we need to start looking at it. You see, it's all good.
But have you actually factored in the fact that poverty is actually ravaging the land?
It is ravaging
and many
the land.
people, just like you, have lost. A lot of people have lost hope even in elections.
Well, they have, but whatever it is, I mean, as long as, if they've lost hope totally, then they should not bother about it anymore. They should not be shocked anymore.
So what do we do?
So what do we do? This is what I think we do. I think any right-thinking Nigerian should come to what I call the killer position, to believe that there is a negative correlation between government and progress in Nigeria. That if you want to progress, the first thing is to discount government. That government is a nuisance in Nigeria.
How far can you go?
Well, as much as possible. So what will happen is, my advice to Nigerian producers and entrepreneurs is to genuinely, you see, there's a missing opportunity. He's right about this outrage. If I was as hopeful as him, I would be as well. There's a genuine missing opportunity for people who are paid to represent Nigeria to use Nigerian money to buy Nigerian products. Contrary to what people think, the rest of us don't have that duty. But they do. It's an extra duty. Because they should be showing the best of what it takes to be Nigerian. And they've missed that opportunity. But for the normal people, this is my advice to them. Look around you. In a country, in a developing country, it just shows the shallowness of the people ruling us. In a developing country, you don't need to steal. There are lots of needs to be catered for.
Yeah.
Because we've not done a lot of things. There's lots of solutions looking to be applied, to be preferred. My advice for people is to look at what you can produce in Nigeria. Try to produce it as best possibly you can. Let it be good enough to be able to compete. And find a way for the price to be attractive. You see, when it comes to cogent things of life, there's an error that's been made in Africa. They wasted about 40 years of our life talking of Pan-Africanism, identity, now it's religion, politics. We have not been taught how to think of hard evidence. If you can produce a telephone, a wire, what's the thing we used to cook? I don't want to use a brand.
Stove.
Not the stove. The cube.
Seasoning.
The seasoning. If you can produce a seasoning that actually tastes better than other seasoning, word of mouth will sell it for you. Now this is my optimism. Outside government, let people go and see what they can actually do, and know that don't count of government. We have a population of over 200 million people. Out of that 200 million, people just say that. Out of the 200 million people, we actually have about 25 million consumers. Effective demand of
Let me
25
add to
million
that,
people.
please.
If you can do that, that would be great. And I'll tell you an initiative that we are doing along that. I'll let you talk.
Sorry, let me quickly give this to
Okay,
you,
even
please.
addition
When
to
you are
that,
saying
outside the people that actually denounce, what percentage of Nigerians are actually going out for made in Nigeria?
Made in Nigeria,
yes, you see, the issue
is
is
it all about leadership alone?
it is. Let me tell you this, please. Yes, we should produce something that is good.
Yes.
We should produce something that will be competitive.
Yes.
But can you remember the story of the Asian tigers?
Yes.
It is when you produce.
Yes.
When you produce,
People
people buy it. They will now tell you the shortfalls. You now improve on it.
Yes.
Then you keep on improving on it until you get to the top. Because look, it happens. I'm sorry. It happened to Toyota. Listen, that they have to call back a lot of that they have.
Yes.
So with their patronizing our own,
Yes.
how will we know? It is even more dangerous because when you don't patronize, even the neighboring countries like Ghana, Benin, Niger, and all that are supposed to purchase from those people, we're not.
But it appears we're arguing, but we're not.
We're not.
No. It appears we're arguing.
We're not arguing. We are expressing opinions.
No,
we're
but what I'm
expressing.
saying is, I don't want you to get me wrong. What I'm saying is that people should try their best to produce well.
I don't know whether you have seen
You're
Innocent
not
Motors.
in-
I don't know whether you have seen Innocent Motors or you have seen the advert.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have seen it. Have you seen it?
Yeah, yes. Why do you ask that?
What I'm saying is, if you have seen it,
Yeah.
you will know that what is being produced by those people
Yeah.
It's of world standard.
is of world standard.
Nobody's arguing that. Why you
No,
think about
it's because you said you are advising
Yeah.
Nigerian producers.
I'm advising because generally speaking, no, we shouldn't advise
That's talking
them.
about people's mindset.
Because generally, the reason why
I don't
No,
so
no, no,
much.
no,
try to get it.
Yes,
Try to get it. The reason why people buy foreign things is that they're generally better and generally cheaper. The key word
It's because of
generally.
ethnocentricity of which they believe their abroad culture is better than our own. Are you seeing? Listen to this.
Are you saying?
Listen to this. There is a guy in UK.
No, wait. Calm down before you talk about the guy in the UK.
Who came to Nigeria
Let
to
me
come
ask
and
you a
get
short-
contracts? Okay.
I'll ask the question.
Let me ask you a short question then.
Please.
Peter. Are you saying that generally our things are better than foreign things?
Oh yes.
Oh, well.
Our thinking.
No,
our
not our
thinking is
thinking.
better.
No,
Not
our
our thinking,
thinking.
our products.
Our products.
You see, when you're talking about
give me a
products
short
now,
answer. Give me a short
I
answer.
won't give you 2 + 2 4 answer because it has a lot of things adjoining to
Okay,
it.
fair enough.
When you're looking,
I think
when you're looking at,
you are
sir.
being patriot. You are talking about patriotism now.
I don't want to be theoretical. I want to be
You are saying people
practical.
should be patriotic. No
It's
matter
not,
you should just
aside from
portray
even aside
patronize.
from patriotism, even apart from patriotism, there's what we call practical terms. Do you understand? Our products would have been better if government had allowed a good level playing ground,
But
and
that's
if
fine.
government had been able to provide all the necessary facilities. I was at your reception
But
just
that's
now.
fine.
They
You
took
told-
your lights now. If to say we are here now, if to say we are here, they now take lights. What do you think will happen to your viewers? Go to abroad, you will see that in most of these, their big organizations, it's Nigerians that are handling it. Nigerians.
As we coast
But when it comes
as
to this
we
place,
coast
it's
to-
another wahala.
As we custom, what powers do Nigerians have either to stop or to urge the assemblymen to go ahead with their decision?
Well, I think, Nigerians, we need to learn to be more citizens and less followers.
Yeah.
We can petition them. We can use people like you to keep talking about it. And you see, in the meantime, you see, here's the difference. We need to learn to move a bit away from passionate patriotism and start to be very practical and organic in what we do. To that extent, and now you say we are many arts, And to that extent, I wear my CAF direct hat. Later this month, we're going to be unveiling a Made in Nigerian project in which we're putting together 100 Nigerian producers that have made things that are 90% made in Nigeria, and we're going to guide them and exhibit them to the world to make sure that they meet standards and to get people to sell for them so that they can have demand, they can get finance, and they can grow. I think in the ideal world, that is what the society should be doing. We are used to believing society is state. Some of us do not believe because, you see, when people say
Time will not
it will not allow
There's
it.
another topic.
Your last word,
There's
sir.
a last big
Your last
topic.
word.
I'm fine.
Well, I think we should be patriotic Nigerians.
That's
Patriotic Nigerians.
very good.
All right, and that's where we are calling it a day on the program this morning. Thank you, Dr. Kayode and Professor Kila, for being a part of it.
I wish we had much more
appreciate
time
it,
to actually
really,
look at-
because this Made in Nigeria issue is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
And I think I want to appreciate the initiative he said they are coming
Yeah,
up
coming
with.
up
Thank you very much. And people can
All right.
join. Yes.
Okay, so we'll see you again on Wednesday for another edition of the program. I'm Jumoke Michaels. Bye-bye.
And I'm Banji Busari. See you on Wednesday.